The sessions are going to be very interactive because I will expect you to do some activities. If I move too fast while I explain some of the concepts or unpack some of the concepts, please stop me so that everybody can be on the same page when we move forward. Welcome to almost your first session. We already had one session with the QMI class a previous week ago, but today we're continuing, and this will be the slot for all the numeracy sections that we do. Other than that, if you are doing QMI, your session for the tutorials will always be on a Monday. If you are doing BNU, your tutorial session will be on a Wednesday. And then on a Friday, that's where we do the skills-based training for certain concepts. Not everything, but some of the concepts that we're not going to cover in the tutorial class, we can cover them in the skills training workshops. The sessions are 2 hours long. They are 2 hours long, and I will share with you the outline of how the session for today is broken down. I hope everybody is familiar with MS, the Teams tool. You know where to raise your hand, you know where to type in the chat. I have placed in the chat the link to the attendance register. So make sure that you complete that. It's very useful because we also need to know how many people are taking up the sessions so that in future we can add more or less or not have them at all. So you completing the attendance register, you are helping the future QMI and BNU students. And the session name on the attendance register, you will see it will ask you for the session name. Please don't put your module. You must put the basic numeracy and today's topic, which is measurements. So you can say basic numeracy and then dash measurements, and that will be our session name on the attendance register. And that will happen like that every Friday when we have this kind of a session. Today is not about a module, it's not about QMI, it's not about BNU, it's about numeracy. We're going to unpack some of the content. At the end of the session, I am going to post a link that will take you to the feedback form. If you don't manage to get to the link now, or if you are on the WhatsApp group, I will post it again on the WhatsApp group, and then you can also complete it there. The WhatsApp groups are per module, so you don't have to be in the BNU, in the QMI WhatsApp group. So you will join the QMI group. I'm also going to share the link to those WhatsApp group for those who are interested. Okay, so let's start with today's session. Like I said, it's going to be very interactive. If you have any technical issues when you log in onto my UNISA or onto the MS Teams, you can send an email to CT and please make sure that every week you have your calculators ready because we're going to be doing lots of calculations sometimes. Okay, so I need to put this into a presentation mode. So since I told you today's session is on measurements and I'm going to be your facilitator, Elizabeth Boy. And we were supposed to start exactly at 5 o'clock. We're starting a little bit late because people joined late and I wanted to give everybody a chance so that nobody misses out. So we're going to start with the conversion, which is the easy part of everything. I will show you how to convert from one unit to the other. Then we're going to do some measurement calculations where we look at the perimeter or the circumference of a shape, where we look at the regular shape or irregular shape. Then, because it's a 2-hour session, I prefer us to take a break around 10 to 6, and we'll come back at 6 o'clock and do the area, and then later on do the volume. There will be lots and lots of exercises to do, so don't worry. By the time we leave the session, you will feel comfortable. So by the end of the session, you should be able to learn how to convert from one unit to the other, be able to calculate the perimeter, be able to calculate the area or the volume, and also be able to convert from liters to cubic units. So let's start with the conversions. When we convert, we actually used a system called the SI system unit, which converts the length of a surface or the length of an object. And it's always reflected as meters, but you will learn quickly that you can convert from a kilometer to a centimeter or a meter to a millimeter. But when we calculate the length, usually we use a meter. So what do I mean by the SI unit? The SI unit is this. It's called, it gives you how many units are in another unit. For example, in tens. So for example, there are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter, and there are 10 hectometers in 1 kilometer, but there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer, and that's the concept that we're going to be using. So you need to know how many tens you need to multiply with, or how many tens you need to divide by, because a 1 kilometer is equivalent to 1,000 millimeters or meters, sorry, and it is equivalent to 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 centimeters, and 100 centimeter or 1,000 centimeter is equivalent to 1 meter or something like that. 100 centimeter will be equivalent to 1 meter, and you need to know how to convert those things. So there is a way of converting from one unit to the other. Sometimes it's easy to use at the tens, or if you already know the SI unit by heart, to know that 100 centimeter is equivalent to 1 meter, then you can use that. But if you don't know, you can use this SI unit to do the conversion. So for example, please make sure that you always mute your microphones and you switch off your videos when you join, so that we can save each other's time and bandwidth as well. So the quality of the recording can be audible enough for people who want to revisit the sessions at the later stage. Okay, so let's use the first rule. The first rule says if I want to convert from a greater unit, I will be dividing by the appropriate 10. So if I convert to a greater unit, so if I convert from centimeters to kilometers, I need to know by how many tens I need to convert by, because I know that a centimeter to a kilometer will be 10 plus 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, which is 100,000 centimeters in a kilometer. So you need to know all those things. And you need to also know how to convert from a smaller unit that you will multiply. When you convert to a smaller unit, you multiply by the number of how many number of tens you will multiply. So converting from kilometers to meters, you will multiply by 1,000 units. So you will need to know all those things. So let's look at an example. If I want to convert from a centimeter to a millimeter, so I'm converting from a bigger unit to a smaller unit. Therefore, I need to be multiplying by the only 10 millimeters. And to do that, you will say 20 multiplied by 10 will give you 200 millimeters, because the rule says if I move to a smaller unit, I need to know how many tens I must multiply by. So I'm moving from a bigger to a smaller unit. 20 centimeter is a bigger unit, and I'm moving to a millimeter, which is a smaller unit. I need to multiply by 10. And that's how. The other way of doing these questions, and the easy way, which I always find when I simplify the units and I do the conversion, is to say, let's say I need to convert from 450 centimeter to millimeters. Now, if you remember that the SI unit, just give me a sec. I need to find my pen so I can write. Let's say I want to convert. I need to go to my SI unit table that I remember what it looks like. And I know that I am converting from centimeter to a meter. Therefore, I must divide by the relevant tenths because a centimeter is smaller than a meter. So if I take my centimeter and I know that I must convert to an X meter because I don't know how many meter, I'm going to label it as an X. Therefore, I can say on this side, I will say how many. I'm going to use this. Remember in the first session where we did the ratios, those who attended the first session where we did the ratios, we calculate, we say, if we see 2, it means we can write it as 450 centimeter. So we apply the same concept. So it will be 450 centimeter to X meters. And now we need to know how many centimeters. We know that there is 1 centimeter, or we can say how many centimeters are in a meter. We don't even have to say there is 1 centimeter. We can say how many centimeter in 1 meter. There are 100 centimeters, because if I move from here to 1 meter, there are 10 times 10, which gives us 100 centimeter. So there are 100 centimeter in 1 meter. Now, if I want to make X the subject of the formula, I'm going to cross multiply so that I can have my X on the other side. Then I will have 450 centimeter multiply by 1 meter, divide by, and I'm going to divide by the 100 because I'm cross multiplying, divide by 100 centimeter, which will be equals to, and I can remove my meter from here and leave it as an X and say is equals to X on this side. If I cross multiply this side, it will be X divided by 1 because I've removed the meter. Now I can say that cancels out that. Then I will have 45, and I will have centimeter cancel out centimeters. Then I will have 45 times 1 meter, which will be 45 meter divided by 10, which is equals to X. And the answer that I will have will be 45 divided by 10 will give me 4.5 meters. And that's the one way of doing it. If you don't remember that you need to multiply by how many number of tens, or you need to divide by how many number of tens, you can use this method. Let me repeat the method again. So let's say we're converting from 78 meters to millimeters. Converting from meters to millimeters, it means we're converting from a bigger number to a smaller number. We need to know with how many number we need to divide by. Oh, we need to multiply by, because we're going from a bigger number to a smaller number. So we can also apply the same. So we know that this side, we can make it as an X, and we will say there are 78 meters to X, and we need to know how many meters. So we know that there is 1 meter. So our 1 meter will be how many millimeters? So there are 1, 2, 3. So 1 meter is equivalent to 10 times 10 times 10, which is equivalent to 1,000 millimeters. Now, since it's like this, and we want to make X the subject of the formula, we're going to cross multiply by X, and we're going to divide, cross multiply by 1 meter, and we cross multiply by 1,000. So this will be 78 meters multiplied by 1,000 millimeters, divide by, we cross multiply this side by 1 meter equals to, and we move X to the other side. Therefore, our X, our millimeter cancels out with our millimeter. We are left with 78 times 1,000 millimeter is equals to X, and therefore it will be equals to 78,000 millimeters. So to convert from a meter to millimeters, so there will 78 millimeters is equivalent to 78,000 millimeters. With that, you have an exercise. Convert 30 or 380 centimeter to kilometer. And when you have the answer, you can post it on the chat, and then everybody can like it, or they can also put their own answers as well. When you have the answer, you can post it on the chat, and then we will discuss it. And also, if you don't know what you need to do, let me know. Are we winning? Anybody? Okay. How do we then convert? Anyone who wants to take a step at it? The only way to learn is for you to talk, so that we can show you where you went wrong, and I can correct you so that next time you don't have to make the same mistake. So let's have this discussion. Open up. Who wants to try? You can unmute yourself and let's have this discussion. You can also let me know if you are lost, because if you are quiet, I don't know what is happening. Did you even at least try? Did you look at it? Did you do something? I don't know. Talk to me. Engage me. Let me know how I can help you. Am I alone in this conversation? Because then if I'm alone, then I can record all this session and post them online and you can have them. So I thought you joining the session, we can have the discussion and you tell me where you're not understanding and I can help.
Sorry, Lizzie. I've been trying to
Yes.
unmute myself. I'm doing it via my phone, so I can't even use the chat functionality. But what I did was
Sorry, let me
times
address
300.
Yes, let me address the chat function quickly. The reason why people are unable to use the chat is because they sign in with their Gmail or their Yahoo or other email addresses, which is not the My UNISA email address. When you join the sessions going forward, please make sure that you join using your student number at mylife.unisa.ac.za email address. If you join with that, it will give you the full functionalities of the MS Teams. But if you join as a guest or join using other email addresses, you will have difficulties accessing the chat function and responding as well. Yes. Okay. So
Okay, no,
you
that
want
makes sense.
yes, you want to take a step at it?
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Yes, no
So
problem.
I didn't do any of your methods really. I took 380 centimeters and I just times it with 1,000, because centimeter to meter is 100, is times 100. So to kilometer it would be 1,000.
So you said you multiplied by 1,000 kilometers. Okay, so let's go back. So where is our centimeter? There is our centimeter. So how many tens will there be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So therefore it means there will be 10 to the power of 5, remember, which is the same as 10 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 10. Because it will be 10 multiplying itself 5 times.
Yes.
So if you take your calculator and multiply that, you will notice that this is equivalent to 100,000 kilometers. So then it means your answer there, you could have just multiplied by 100,000 kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, and how much will that be?
What is that?
But also, the other thing you need to also remember now, we're moving from a smaller to a bigger. So when we're moving from to a greater value, we always remember that we need to divide, because this is small and this is big. When we're moving from small to big, we divide. When we move from small to big, we divide. And when we move from big to small, so when we move from big to small, we multiply. So here, centimeters are small and big, and kilometers are big. So it means we have to divide. So we should say it's 380 centimeter divided by 100,000. And your answer would be 0,0038 kilometers. That's one way of doing it. That's one way of doing it. If I want to use the method that I showed you earlier, we know that if we have 380 centimeter to kilometers, we can say our kilometers, we can change it to an X, and we will say it is equivalent to 380 centimeter divide by X, because the 2 will make us do the division. And we know how many centimeters are in a kilometer. We know that in 1 kilometer, there are 100,000 centimeters. Sorry. There are 100,000 centimeters. So therefore, we're going to say 380 centimeter multiplied by 1 kilometer. So it will say 380 centimeter multiplied by 1 kilometer will be equivalent to, we cross multiply, 100,000 centimeter, and we bring our X on the other side, and therefore our 0 will cancel out, our centimeter cancels out with centimeter, then we are left with 380 or 38 kilometer divided by 1,000. And when we take 38 divide by 10,000, you get X is equals to 0, comma 0,0038. Any question? Do you see where you went wrong when you answered that question? Okay, no answer. Okay.
Sorry. I mean, I was talking, but I was muted. Yes, I did see where I went wrong. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So we move on to, it's 1:30, or actually it's 22. We move on to calculating the perimeter. When we calculate the perimeter, we can calculate the perimeter for many different shapes. And a perimeter is just the boundaries, the edges. So we'll be calculating the sides, the outside edges of a figure. So we usually measure it in terms of the length. So for example, we will be calculating the perimeter for different figures. So we will calculate the perimeter for a rectangle, the perimeter for a square, a triangle, and a circle. All this, we call them regular shapes. At a later stage, we will calculate the perimeter for a irregular shape or for a composite shape. So let's look at each one of them. So a rectangle has 4 sides, which 2 sides, opposite sides are equal. So this side and that side are the same, and on the side, this side and that side are the same, which we call the longer side the length, the shorter side we call it the width. To calculate the circumference or the perimeter of a rectangle, we'll add all their sides. Because there is a length and the length and the width and the width, we can use the formula 2 times L plus W. So reason being is there are 2 lengths and there are 2 W's. Or you can just add that side, add the side, add the side, add the side. You don't even have to remember the formula. So let's say we have a rectangle with the length of 30 and the width of 8. So therefore, if I look at this rectangle that we have, if we say this side is 30, then this side is also 30, and this side is 8, and this side will also be 8. So to calculate this, I can say 30 plus 30 is 60 plus 8 is 68 plus 8 will be 76. So let's see when we use the formula. The circumference is 2 times L plus W. So we substitute our length is 30 and our width of 8. And we calculate 2 times 38, we get 76, which is the same as 30 plus 30 plus 8 plus 8. Calculating the perimeter of a square, and we know that a square has 4 equal sides, which looks like this, has 4 lengths. The side, this side, and this side, and this side, and this side, they are the same. And to calculate the perimeter, we can use the formula. C is equals to 4L, which is the 4 times the L. So if this is 4 centimeter, therefore it means it's 4 centimeter times 4 because there are 4 sides. Or we can just say L plus L plus L plus L, which will still give us the same. So let's look at an example. To calculate the perimeter of a square with the length of 80, so if this side is 80, therefore this side is 80, this side is 80, and this side is 80. And we can say 80 plus 80 plus 80 plus 80, which gives us 320. If we use the formula, we can say we substitute the value of L, which is 80, into the formula, and we get C is equals to 320, which is the perimeter of the square. Easy to calculate the perimeter because we just add all the sides, the outside part. For the triangle, also works the same. Triangle has three-sided, it's a three-sided figure, and it can look like this, where we have three sides, and they can also not be the same. This can be longer than the other, and it can look skewed a little bit. It's still going to be a triangle which has three sides. Because we're calculating the sides, we just add P plus R plus Q. And if we are given an example that looks like this, that says calculate the perimeter of a triangle with the side that has 10 centimeter, 7 centimeter, and 6 centimeter, it means we're going to say 10 plus 7 plus 6. Drop the formula, and we will get the circumference as 23, which is also called the perimeter, which is 23. Easy to calculate. The only challenge is when we calculate the perimeter of a circle. And remember, a circle is just that round thing. So with the circle, when we calculate the perimeter or the circumference of a circle, say this is a circle. A circle has no ending side, so there is it starts from the one end and it ends on the other end. So, but we call where it starts from one end to the other, we call that a diameter. And a diameter is made up of 2 points, which at the middle of the circle, we call it the midpoint, breaks the circle into half. For example, if we fold the circle in half, one end of the circle will combine with the other end of the circle. We call that middle part the midpoint. And at from the midpoint to the outside of the circle, we call that the radius. So this can be the radius. From this point to that point is the radius. Or I can draw a new line and say from this point to that point, I've calculated my radius. And you can do the same anywhere else. So as long as it starts from the middle of the circle and it breaks the diameter in half, you are able to calculate the radius. And when we calculate the circumference of a circle, we need to know the radius. Sometimes they will give you the diameter. We know that the diameter is half of your, it consists of 2 radiuses. So your diameter is made up of 2 radiuses. For example, with our example that we have here, so this is 1 radius and this is 1 radius, the same way as this is a radius. So, but this is the radius for this line, which starts from one side to the other. In the middle, it creates a radius, for example. So how do we then calculate the circumference of this? We use the formula, and the formula is 2 pi r. On your calculators, those who have financial calculator, your pi is on the closed bracket, and it looks like this. On the closed bracket. Those who are using the Casio, you must also find it on your Casio calculator. If it's written in orange, you first need to press the second function to get to that. When you calculate any measurements, please do not use 22 over 7 calculation. You must use the pi function on your calculator to calculate this. So you will say 2 times second function closed bracket for those who are using the financial calculator to call up the pi function. You must use that to calculate. So let's look at an example. Calculate the circumference of a circle with a radius of 4 meters. Now, if I look at the question, they have given us the radius. So we can just go on and substitute into the formula. If they would have given us a diameter of 8 meters, we would have used the diameter to calculate the radius, and we would have said our radius is equals to the diameter divided by 2, which then will give us 8 divided by 2, which will be equals to 4. So they already gave us 4. so we don't have to worry about the diameter because the diameter is made up of 2 radiuses. So let's substitute into the formula. Our formula is 2 pi r, so we calculate. Remember, we don't use the 27 over 2, we use the pi function. So it will be 2 times the pi, where we will say 2 times, you will say 2 multiplied by, and you go and say second function, and you will press that close bracket, which has the pi function. Or if you are using a Casio, you will use shift 2 times whatever the shift, and then you go and find the pi button on your calculator, and then you'll say multiply by, you will still have to multiply by the radius, multiply by 4, and you will also say multiply by 4 on your Casio calculator. So this step is for those who are using a Sharp financial calculator, and this step is for those who are using the Casio calculator. You must find the pi button. Sometimes it's written in orange. Sometimes it's a button, it's visible on your functions. You don't have to press the second function to reach that. And when you're done, you will get an answer which looks like C is equals to 25.13. And that is calculating the circumference of regular shape. Any question?
Yes, Lizzie.
Yes.
Hi, Lizzie. Okay.
Yes.
What if it's a half circle and it's not a full circle?
When it's a half circle, so you will calculate the circumference by saying 2 pi r divided by 2 because it's a half a circle. You will just also have to have your circle formula. So you will just rewrite the same formula but divide it by 2 because it's a half a circle.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's look at calculating the perimeter of an irregular shape. So let's say we want to calculate the perimeter of this shape that does not look exactly like the normal shape, like a rectangle, a square, or a triangle. So this will be the shape. It will look like this. So it's easy. We just add all the sides. So if I'm given what is the perimeter of an irregular shape with the 5 sides that has 14 centimeter, 9 centimeter, 11 centimeter, 13 centimeter, and 7 centimeter, it's easy. You just add all the sides. As long as the question says what is the perimeter of the shape, you just add all the sides. And that will give us a 54 centimeter perimeter. We also have what we call a composite side or a composite figure. And a composite figure is a figure where it's built up of many different figures. It's not an irregular shape, but when you visualize it or when you look at it, you can visualize 2 distinct shapes in one. Let's say, for example, we have this kind of a shape. If you look at this, we can call this a composite shape because if I break this into 2, this might look like a square and this looks like a rectangle. So to calculate the composite of this figure, to calculate the perimeter of this composite figure, you must also be aware of the following. If you look at this whole figure, because we're calculating the sides, and the sides is that 4 centimeter, 25 centimeter, 30 centimeter, 8 centimeter. Now we don't have this, and we also don't have that. So because we don't know those sides, I can call this side a Y side, and I can call this an X side. I can find this side, the X side, because if I look at this figure, I know that from this side to that side is 30 centimeter. And from here at the top, we have 4 centimeter. And if I can extend this line, I will also be at this point. And therefore, it means the X will represent the missing part. So I can also say my x is equals to 30 minus 4. And also I can calculate my y, because my y, if I look here, we have 25 centimeter. And if I look this side, I have 8 centimeter. If I extend this line, I will reach there, and I combine all this. I will say from here to here, I need to calculate, but I know from here to here it's 8 centimeter. So therefore, I can also calculate the y, because y will be 25 centimeter, will be 25 minus the 8 centimeter, will tell me the difference of that, which then it says, if I calculate both of them, I will know that this side is 25 minus 8, which gives me 44. And on the other side, I have 30 minus, sorry, how can it give me 24 if I calculate 25 minus 8? Sorry, my calculator is giving me wrong information. Minus 8 is 17. And 30 minus 4 is 26. My pen today is worse. It's 26. So to calculate the perimeter of this, we can also just add all of them. Remember that it was 30 minus 4, which was that, and 25 minus 8, which was that. So we can just add them. 30 minus 4 is 26 plus 17, and you add it all together, all the sides together, and that will give you the perimeter of this composite side. And you have an exercise. You can also do this exercise. We will come back at exactly 6 o'clock. You can also take some break while we're busy doing this exercise. We will come back at, let's say, at 5 past 6. 5 past 6. We will come back at 16:05 to do the exercise and move on with the rest of the other part of the session. And if you have any question, you feel free to ask. Remember, you're calculating the circumference or the perimeter of this shape. And now, if you look at this shape, well, before I go, if you look at this shape, it has a half a circle eating into this shape. So you will have to subtract that half a circle, but you need to add all the sides. So from there to there to there to there. Ignore what is inside. You're only adding only the side. And this is a half a circle. And we know by using the 4 centimeter, which tells us from here to here, which we can help, it can help us determine the radius of this shape, which is 4 centimeter, or the diameter of this shape will be a 4 centimeter. And because it's a half a shape, you will have to divide it by 2 so that you can add whatever the half of a circle it is, plus that, plus that, plus that. when you're done, you can post your answer on the chat. Okay. Welcome back. Anybody who wants to try? I see we already have a response. Someone posted this. And one says it's option one. Everybody says it's option one. I hope you didn't add the 4 centimeter that is inside. It's not relevant. Remember, this is the circumference. We're adding only the outside. Anyone who wants to try? You can unmute. Nobody. Oh, guys. Anyone? I don't want to be the only person talking the whole session. Like I said, the only way for me to know if you're doing things right is if you talk to me. Then I can help you with your answers so that, yes, please. I don't have to beg you because then I need to say this once because I know that this is our first session as well in the numeracy. I don't have to beg you to give me the answers. I am just here to help you because if I am just giving you answers and you not at least trying on your side to do the exercises, it doesn't benefit you at all. I am doing you a disservice. My job and my task is to help you understand how to work through the problems. So when I ask you to talk to me, it's not for me, it's for you. So please, I don't have to say it 5 times. Like I said, then it means going forward, I can just record the sessions and then post them and you can go through them at your own time. So please, this is the last time. I beg you. I am begging you. Okay, who's talking now? You can go ahead.
Okay. So what I did was I first added all the sides, excluding the circle. So 6 centimeters plus the 2 centimeters plus 4.8 and then plus 6 centimeters. And then that gave me 18.8 centimeters.
It gave you
18.8 centimeters.
Okay.
And then I took 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by 2.
Yes.
And then that gave me 12.5663.
So you said 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by
2.
By 2. Why do you multiply by 2?
Because the full radius is 4, so the half of the radius would be 2, if that's correct.
Oh, the diameter is 4, so you will say 4 divided by 2, which will give you 2. So that is why you multiply by 2 there. So it's not that I'm questioning you, is to help those who didn't know where you got it. Okay, right. Okay. And the answer you got.
And then I added the 18.8 centimeters to that.
What was the answer that you got? From 2 times.
I'm sorry. So then I got 13.367 and sorry 3.66 and then I rounded it off.
Wait.
Sorry.
You got
13.366.
366. I'm not sure if you attended the first session. Remember, while you're still in that problem mode, please do not round off. Only round off when you get to the final answer. So we're not going to round it off. So if it was 366 and that was what you got, you write it as it is. Do not round it up or round it or apply the rounding off process. Okay? Yeah. Now, before you add to there, remember this is a half a circle. It's not a complete circle.
I'm sorry, the answer should be 12.5663. 5663.
Okay. Remember, this is not a full circle. This is a half a circle.
Okay.
Now, so then it means you need to divide this by 2.
Okay.
Because if it was a full circle, then you will apply the same method that you did and add it there.
Okay.
And the answer you get is?
So then that should be 6.331.
6.331. 6.331. I don't know what kind of a calculator did you use. Are you sure you got 12.663 or 12.566?
Because what I did was I took 2 and then multiplied by pi and then multiplied by 2, which is half of the diameter. And then I got 12.5663. Then I took the 18.8 centimeters. I added the two numbers together. Then it,
Sorry, I'm going back to that. 2 multiply, so you say 2 multiply by the second function pi button, multiply by 2, and that is where I'm asking you, are you sure you got 12.663 or is 12.5663?
12.5663.
Yes, so it's not 12.663, it's 12.5. Yes, that's what I was asking there. And
then I just added the 12.5663 plus 18.8 centimeters.
yeah, but it's a half a circle, so you need to divide by 2. Remember, it's a half a circle, so you cannot use the 12.5663 and add it to the 18.8. You have to take that
And divide. Okay.
and divide it by 2.
6.52 plus
which should give you 6.2836. So this should be 6.2832. And then now you can take your 18.8 and add your 6.2. Let me rewrite it nicely so that you can see. So now to calculate this, you will have to take 18.8 and add 6.2832 to get to your answer.
which is option 4 then, 25.08.
Which is 25.08. Yes. You must remember that it's a half a circle, like that first person when we were finishing off with the area and asked, what if it's a half a circle, what do you do then? Always remember, if they give you a half a circle, which is not a complete circle, you need to divide it by 2.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, so now let's look at any question before we move on. If there are no questions, then let's look at how we calculate the area. Calculating the area, we are going to be calculating the surface inside. So with the perimeter, we were calculating the outside, like from wall to wall, outside, the boundaries. Now we're going to calculate the floor, the inside part, which is called the surface. And it's always going to be, if we calculate the length or the area, sometimes we use the meters, and it's represented by the meter squared because we are multiplying things. We're no longer adding, we're going to be multiplying things together. So we're going to calculate the area for the regular shapes, which is the rectangle, the square, the triangle, and the circle. Remember, when we calculated the perimeter, we also calculated the perimeter for the regular shape. Similar with the area we can calculate because we will be calculating the inside part, this blue shaded area, the red shaded area, the purple shaded area, and the yellow shaded area. That's what we will be calculating, whereas before we were just calculating the outside part without looking at what is inside. So at the later stage, we are going to also learn how to calculate for the irregular shape or the composite shape. So let's start calculating the area of a rectangle. We know what the rectangle, two sides, opposite sides that are equal. So to calculate the area, we use the formula length times breadth. We use length times breadth. And in terms of a formula, how we write it is A is equals to L times W, or length times width. And if I am given a question which says calculate the area of this rectangle with the length of 30 and the width of 8, I just substitute into the formula what I'm given. So A is equals to L times width. So we substitute into the formula. Our length was 30 and our width was 8. So it will be 30 times 8, which then gives us 200 millimeters or meters squared, because there were meters multiplied by meters. Then the answer will be in meter squared. Calculating for a square, we know that a square has 4 equal sides, so therefore it will be L squared. And if we need to calculate the area of a square where we have the length of 80, we just substitute into the formula of A is equals to L squared. It will be A is equals to 80 squared because our length is 80. It will be 80 squared. And because it's in centimeter, it will be 80 centimeter times 80 centimeter will just give us 64,000 centimeters squared. 64,000 centimeters squared. And calculating for the triangle, we know that the rectangle have 2 half bases. So we're going to have to say the formula will be the area of a triangle will be half base times height. So we're going to be using the height of the triangle and the base of a triangle, but because we're only interested in the half of it, so we're going to divide it by 2. And to calculate the area of a rectangle with the base of 7 and the height of 6, we just substitute into the formula. A is equals to half base times height, and our base is 7 centimeter, our height is 6 centimeter. We substitute into the formula and we get the area of this triangle as equals to 21 centimeters squared. We just use the formulas. To calculate the area of a circle, similar to when we're calculating the perimeter, we need to know that we have the diameter, which starts from one side of the circle to the other side. And from the midpoint to the outside of the circle, we call that the radius. So if they don't give us the radius, they will give us the diameter. We can calculate the radius. And we know the formula is A is equals to pi r squared. If we need to calculate the area of a circle with a radius of 14, we just substitute into the formula. We are given the radius, so we just substitute. A is equals to pi times 14 squared, which gives us 615.75, and because it's meters, therefore it will be meter squared. And that is how you calculate the area of a regular shape. Any question? Okay, if there are no questions, then let's look at when we are given a composite shape. If we are given a composite shape which looks like this, therefore we have two shapes in one. So there is a circle, and inside the circle there is a rectangle. And we are given the white shaded area. Inside the white shaded area, it says from the outside of the circle to the outside of the circle on this side, there is a line that crosses there, is just to guide us in terms of the diameter. And it tells us this is 5 centimeter because it says in the middle there is a point, so it's 5 centimeter. Therefore, we are able to calculate the radius from there to there. And since we need to be calculating the area of the shaded side, then it makes things interesting. We do not want to calculate everything, including also the white shaded area, but only the shaded part. And to calculate the shaded part, it's easy because we can calculate the area of a circle, which is the whole circle that we have. And like I said, we are given the diameter for the circle. If we take 5 divided by 2, we'll get the radius of 2.5. Remember that your radius is equals to your diameter over 2. So we are given the diameter of 5 centimeters. So we just say 5 divided by 2, which will give us a 5 divided by 2, which will give us 2.5. And that's how I got to the radius of 2.5. The radius of 2.5. Now, the other thing we can do is also to calculate the area of a rectangle. We can calculate the area of this white shaded part so that we can subtract, because we're only interested in those areas, the gray part. We can then subtract the white area from the circle. So we will subtract them. We will say the circle minus the rectangle. So we'll have to take away this white area from the circle. And that's what we're going to do. So let's substitute. So we can calculate the area of a circle. And the area of a circle is pi r squared. So pi times 2.5, because our radius is 2.5 squared. And that will give us the area of a circle, which is 19.64 centimeters squared, because everything that is given to us is in centimeters. If in the exam or in your assignment, one unit is not the same as the rest, you will need to convert so that you work with the same units. So calculating the area of a rectangle, we are given 4 centimeters as a rectangle this side, and we are also given the width, which is 3 centimeters. So it will be 4 times 3, which gives us 12.12 centimeters squared. Now we have the area of a circle, which is 12.64, and we have the area of a rectangle. We can then substitute into our formula. We subtract the rectangle from the circle, and we get the shaded area as 7.64 centimeters squared. Any question? There is no exercise for you to do. Do you have any question with regards to what I just showed you?
No questions, thanks.
No questions. Thank you. Then we can look at how we calculate the volume. calculating the volume. To calculate the volume, we're going to calculate what is inside as well. The same way as we've been calculating the surface, we calculate what is inside. And when we calculate for the volume, we always use the 3D. So for the perimeter and also for the area, we have been using what we call a 2D figure, which is a two-dimensional figure. Now, when we calculate a volume, we need to use a 3D dimension. So what do I mean by that? You will see just now. So we're always going to calculate it using the cubic meters, like we've been doing with the rest of the others, where we use the when is the circumference, because we're adding things, it stays as the original length, which was the meters. When we calculate the area, because we multiply into things, then it becomes in squared. With a 3D dimensional figure, you will be multiplying three things, and that is why things becomes in a cubic meter. The length will be, or your volume will be in cubic meters. And we're going to be able to calculate the volume for a cube, a prism. So a cube is like a cube is like your square, but this is a square in 3 dimensions. And the prism is like your rectangle, which is like a box that has two sides that are equal, opposite sides that are equal. And we also have what we call a cylinder, which is a circle. It looks like a circle, but it has some height to it. So how do we calculate the volume of those shapes? So the formula to calculate the volume for a cube, we use L cube, because there is this length, there is this length that goes up, which is that same as that one, which goes up, and there is also that length that goes there at the bottom. So there are 3 sides to it. So that's why we use L cube. To calculate the area of a prism of this box, we also do the same. We calculate this length, we also calculate this height, which is the same as that corner, the height, and we also calculate this breadth. So we use length times breadth times height. So it's the length times the breadth times also this height. To calculate for the cylinder, and when you look at the cylinder, you will notice that a cylinder has a circle and it also has this height. So we're going to use the area of a circle times the height, so which is pi r squared times height, which sometimes we can write it as, without using the multiplications there, we can write this as pi r squared. H is one and the same thing. So we'll calculate the area times the height. So we'll calculate the area of this circle and we multiply it by the height. Remember, this will be meter squared times the height will take us to the cubic meters if it's in meters. Not only that you need to know this. Same as when you convert from one unit to the other, the volume is most of the time calculated in liters. So you need to know how to convert from centimeter cube to meter cubed or to kiloliters or liters. You will need to know all those things. So for example, you need to know that a 1 liter is equivalent to 1,000 centimeter cube. That you need to know. Then you also need to know that 1 liter is also the same as 1,000 millimeters. Therefore, it means a millimeter is the same as centimeter cube. So 1 millimeter is the same as 1 centimeter cube. You will need to know all those things. Then you also need to know that 1 kiloliter is the same as 1 meter cube. In your books, either in your study guide for QMI or BNU, they do give you some of these conversions as well. So you will need to look at them closely so that you can see what they mean. So when you see they write the 10 cube, it means it's 10 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 10, which is the same as 1,000. So because if you multiply 10 times 10 times 10, it will give you 1,000. 10 to the power of 6 is the same as 10 multiplied by 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. 10 times 10, 6 times, which is equals to 100,000. And this is just to show you the conversion from when they use the to the power. It's because they just don't want to use 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, or they want to reduce how many number of zeros that they write after the 10. And similar, 10 to the power of 9 will mean 10 times 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 10, 9 times. And that is the shortest way of writing it. So, but these are the things that you will just need to know about them. So like 1 meter cube is the same as 1,000. 1 meter cube is the same as 1,000 liters. You just need to know all those by heart when you go write the exam, or you can draw this next to some paper somewhere where you can use it at the later as a reference. But all these are in your study guide as well. Okay, so let's look at an example. Let's say we want to calculate a circular water reservoir has a maximum capacity of 10,000 kiloliters, and its diameter is 30 meters. How deep is this reservoir? Now, if we unpack this question closely, you will notice the following with this question. You will notice that they tell you the capacity of this. So they say the capacity, which is the volume. It gives you the volume of this. The capacity is in kiloliters. They also give you the diameter, which we can use later on to go find the radius, which is the diameter divided by 2. And they're also asking you how deep. Therefore, they are asking you what is the height. That's what they are asking you. So knowing for sure that a reservoir looks like this, and we can safely say this is like a cylinder. And if we know the cylinder and we know the formula to calculate the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared times height. Now, since we know what the volume is, they gave the volume to us and they said it is 10,000 kiloliters. They also gave us the diameter, which is 30 meters. So we need to find the radius. We need to convert kiloliters to meters because the height cannot be in liters. It will either be in meters because we can use the diameter as a reference. So since we're converting into meters, so therefore it means we need to convert this kiloliter into meter cube. And to do that, remember the previous slide? The previous slide said we know that 1 kiloliter is equivalent to 1 meter cube. So we can use that to convert. So we know that our 10,000 kiloliters is equivalent to 1 meter cube. So it will be our x. So if I say 10,000 is equal to x, remember our formula, we can use the same method. We can say 10,000 divided by x, and we know that this is kiloliter. Let me write it somewhere nicer and bigger. So we know that 10,000 kiloliter divided by x, and we can safely say 1 kiloliter is equivalent to 1 meter cube. So our x will be the same as 1,000 kiloliter multiply, not divide, but multiply. Let me also not put the x first. Let's say multiply by 1 meter cube equals to x this side and divide by 1 kiloliter. Therefore, our 1 kiloliter will go into the 1 kiloliter and we will be left with x is equals to 10,000 meter cube. So we solved the problem. So we know what our volume is. So we can come to the volume and substitute. Our volume is 10,000 meter cube equals pi. Our r, we need to go find the radius. So knowing our radius is diameter over 2. We know that our diameter is 30 divided by 2. Therefore, our radius is 15 meters. So we can also come here and say 15 meter squared times h. Now we need to make h the subject of the formula. So making h the subject of the formula, it means we need to divide by pi 15 times 2 squared. And to do that, we can simplify the square first. So we can say 15 multiply by 15 or 15 squared. So we can say 15 second function, the dot for the 15 squared, and we get 100,000 meters squared is equals to the pi 2 times 225 times 225 meters squared times height. Now we need to make height on its own, so we can divide this side by pi 225 meters squared, and we do the same this side. Pi times 225 meters squared on both sides. And on this side, pi cancels out pi. This side, we are left with h, and this side, our meters, sorry, this is meter cube. Our meter squared goes into the meter cube, and the remainder will be 1. So that will cancel out, and we'll be left with the meter. And we can also divide 10,000. Divide. Okay, we can also solve what is at the bottom first. So what is at the bottom is a second function pi times 225, which gives us 706. So this becomes 7, oh no. This is 10,000 meters divide by not pi, because we got the answer for the pi multiplied by 225, which is 706.8583. And we can say 10,000 divide by and we get the answer that we've been looking for. Our h, which is our height, is equals to 14.115. And that is the height that we're looking for. Any question? And that gives us the height. Any questions?
Sure.
Okay, if there are no questions, then you have an exercise. So you are given, refer to the sketch, which the sketch looks like this. If I make it bigger. So we refer to this sketch, and it's a cylindrical piece of steel, which is 30 centimeter long and has a radius of 6 millimeters. They gave us the radius of 6 millimeters and has a square hole right through in its length. The hole in the center of the rod, that is a hole, the shaded white area there. The sides of a square are 5 millimeter each. So it means this says the sides are millimeter. So we know what the width is. We can calculate what the height is of this of the white shaded area inside. So now the question is, calculate the volume of the metal that this small object contains. So you need to calculate the volume. So it means how much things can go in there. If we need to pour in water in there, how much will go through in there? So that's what we need to calculate. So now, since we are given a cylinder, so here we have two things. We are told what the cylinder has a hole which looks like a prism. So we want to find out what is the volume, which means the size of that cylinder, that without the hole in it. So we'll have to calculate the volume of a cylinder. We have to calculate the volume of a prism. We have to subtract one from the other one so that we can get the volume of the metal. So we need to calculate the volume of this steel by taking away that shaded white area. If you have any question, Now, before we even start, we can look at the options because I want to highlight some of the things that I want to show you just now. If you look at the answers, the answers are in millimeter cube, centimeter cube, and centimeter cube. So therefore, it means at some point, when we have the answer, we should not be quick to judge the answer that we see. We need to take some actions at some point. So because we are given millimeters, we need to know how many millimeters when we convert from millimeter cube to centimeter cube at the later stage. So if I go back to our graph, our conversion, we know that if I look for the millimeters and centimeters, the only time where they are referenced is only here. So you need to know how many centimeters make up, or how many millimeters make up the centimeters. So we can use the same, this 10, I think it's a 10,000 or 100,000. Yes, 100,000 centimeter cube to a 10 million millimeters. So that's what we need to use to convert all this. So a 100 centimeter to a million. I think this will be 9 zeros will be after the 10, it will be 10 million, something like that. So we will have to use that to convert at the later stage. But for now, to answer the question, we can use the two formulas. We are told we need to calculate the volume. So because we need to find the volume of a metal, which is the volume of the gray thing. But the gray thing has a hole, and the hole is made up of this a rectangular thing that looks like a prism. So how do we then do that? First, let's calculate the volume of this rod. To calculate the volume, we just say, my pen is not writing anymore. Okay, we say, let me activate the pen. It's not that communicating with the PC. Okay, we say, oh, shit. I clicked so many times. We say the pi times, we know that our radius is 6 centimeters because they did tell us what the radius is. So we can just substitute into 6 squared. And our height, we will use that 30 meter long. That is our height, which is equivalent to 30. And therefore, this will be pi times 36. And if we remember, this is in millimeters. So just bear with me, times 30, and this will give us 3 92.9201. 9201, something like that. It will give us that number plus other digits, and this answer will be in cube meter millimeter cubed. And we can also do the same this side to calculate the volume of the rod, so that we can subtract it from there. So we are told that the sides are equal. The sides of the rod here, it's 5 centimeter. They are like square sides. So they're already telling us that they are equal. Therefore, it means the width and the height, and the width and the breadth will be the same. So the length and the breadth will be the same, and the height, because we know that the hole starts from this side and it ends on the other side. Therefore, the height will be 30 centimeters. So we'll say 5 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 30, which then gives us 750 millimeter cubed. So now, since we know that it's in millimeter cubes, then we can convert from there. We can we will take the volume of this, which is 3392.90 9205 9201 9201 minus 750. I'm not sure about all the digits. You should check all your digits. So when you say that, the answer that you will get from calculating that will be equivalent to 2642.92. I'm just going to leave it in 2 decimal places, and that will be in meter cubed. So now we need to convert from 1 millimeter cube to centimeter cube, because I can see the millimeter cubes, this one won't be the right one, and this one might have been the right one, but we can see that it's not the right one. So if we convert from centimeter cube to millimeter cube, we know that 1 centimeter cube will give us 1,000 millimeter cube, because of 100 10 to the power of 6 10 to the power of 6 gives us 100,000, and 10 to the power of 9 10 to the power of 9 gives us I think gives us close to 369. It gives us close to about 1,000, a million, more than a million. I don't know how to count these numbers. So, but there are 10, 9 zeros after 10. I don't know how to count that number. Now I'm becoming Zuma as well. So we can also convert it in this manner. So 1 centimeter cube. So if I write all the numbers together, actually I must not use that, otherwise, because I've run out of time as well. So you will have to go and convert from millimeter cube, convert that to centimeter cube, and see if you get one of those two. So sorry, not that one, but it will be not the first one, because the second one is not right. It should be that. So if we take this and divide it by 1,000, so I took all the hundreds, the tens, and I canceled out from the 10. Oh, this is what I did. So I know that the centimeter cube, there are 100,000 centimeter cubed. And I also looked at the 10 to the power of 9, which has 1 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 9 zeros. Then what I did, I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I said that cancels out that, that cancels out that, that cancels out that. That cancels out, that cancels out, that cancels out. Therefore, I need to divide by 1,000. That's what I did. So if you take that answer and divide by 1,000, you will get 2,64. And that will be your correct answer. So you will just have to divide this by 1,000 and you will get your centimeter cube. And that's what you had to do. I am going to recap. So what we have learned today, we learned how to convert from one unit to the other. We also learned how to calculate the perimeter of different figures, how to calculate the area of different figures, and also the volume of different figures and the liters to convert from one unit to the other. The last thing that I want to say, because I have another session now, is just to let you know, those who are not yet on the WhatsApp group, those are the links to the WhatsApp group. You can quickly take a screenshot of those, or you can write them down. It's the same, exactly the same. And one final thing that I need to do is also to give you the link to the feedback form. So please make sure before you go, you complete the feedback form. There is a link there. It will pop up just now. That's the feedback form. Please make sure that you complete that feedback form. And if you want to book a one-on-one session with any of the numeracy skills people, please make sure that you send an email to ctandtat@unisa.ac and copy this email address. That's my email address, so I will know that you have requested a one-on-one. And remember, one-on-ones are only on a Friday. And also when you send the email there, because there are so many people who will be sending email, make sure that in the subject line you put your module and you put the topic, and also explain what exactly that you need help with, because you might be looking for material and they might not know that and they forward you to me. So make sure that you put your module and you also put the topic that you're talking about. And also inside the email, you must explain exactly what you're looking or you need help with, so that then they can direct it to the right people. And I need to go. Thank you very much for coming. I hope to see you. Those who are doing QMI, I will see you on Monday between 6 and 7:30. And those who are doing BNU, I will see you on Wednesday, same time, 6 until 7:30. And then I will also see you next week on Friday when we continue with other numeracy content. If you have any question, you can post the question on the WhatsApp group. I will attend to it. I need to dash. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Bye.